Time to time, I'm really surprised that so-called game journalists are just basically proves it to us that they are neither gamers nor journalists. I stumbled upon an article, this: by choosing not to replace Oblivion's Remastered's soundtrack, Bethesda made the allegations against composer Jeremy Soule everyone else's problem. Just to understand what is going on, I actually had to, do a little research that what the hell is this article even talking about. Now, as it turned out, Oblivion's original composer, Jeremy Soule, he was accused of sexual misconduct around the #MeToo era, and therefore he was cancelled, as many others did back in the day. So this article basically talks about that whether or not a person who was cancelled before even be allowed to be viewed. I mean, his work. This person made music for decades, and he was cancelled in 2019. Therefore, we shouldn't even be able to listen to his original soundtracks. Now, just to understand what we are talking about, I actually looked up this person because before that I never even know that who this guy was. Now, just a little taste that what kind of games we are talking about and what kind of soundtracks this guy created. Now, this guy was the composer for Final Fantasy VI, Elder Scrolls Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls Online, all the Harry Potter video games, Star Wars The Old Republic, SOCOM, US Navy SEALs, Guild Wars, the 2006 version of Prey, World of Warcraft Mists of Pandaria, Guild Wars 2, Dead Rising 2, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, Dead Rising 3, War Thunder, and the list goes on. Yeah, and amongst them are maybe the biggest titles of many years and the most iconic soundtracks. Also Skyrim's. That's all him. That's all him. He is the composer. This guy is huge. This guy won BAFTA awards, also Game Awards, Global Music Awards, Hollywood Music Awards, and Academy of Interactive Arts and Science Award. I mean, this guy was huge. It's quite interesting that I never really know that who this guy was before this, but this is kind of a sad thing that many times we just don't know about the peoples in the background, the talented visual artists, the talented animation creators and such, who are one of the big people who are making those games, those wonderful experiences as they are. And music in this realm is extremely important. This guy is basically one of my childhood heroes. I'm not even joking. All of these soundtracks, I just read the titles and immediately the songs are jumping in my head. And this guy, I know this guy. I know his work. And now, because of this new article, which talks about that whether or not should be these soundtracks replaced. Now, that's an interesting question. That's an interesting position. Because that means that right now, my experience, just reading through this title, that this guy created the songs of all Elder Scrolls games, World of Warcraft, Guild Wars, Metal Gear Solid, these soundtracks resonating to me. And right now, it's implied that I'm somehow guilty. I'm somehow a bad person because I like this, and the person who created it was a bad person. So far, but only thing I know that this person was alleged to have sexual misconduct. Therefore, during #MeToo, this person was cancelled. And now, the writer of this article argues that we should not even listen to any of these soundtracks. What we were talking about. Any of them, we should replace them and delete them from the public because why exactly? Are they dangerous? Am I going to become a predator because I'm listening to this song? So why exactly is these songs bad? I understand that if the allegations are true, this person is bad, and therefore this person should be removed from workplaces and work environments because it's dangerous to be around him. I completely understand that notion. However, I don't understand what is the problem with the art. What is, what bad thing going to happen to me because I listen to it? Art is an interesting thing because art is not expressed in the artist. The art is expressed in you. What makes art is the thing that how you react to it. So if you are not resonating with something, no matter how righteous or good the person was who created it, it doesn't matter. What matters is that that piece of art is resonating with you. It's moving something in you. It's speaking to you in another realm than just talking. So yeah, how is this poisoned? How is this invalidated by the misconduct of the person who created the art? By default, I reject the notion that we should throw out the baby with the bathwater, that if we cancel someone, if we genuinely believe that somebody is a bad person, therefore we remove them from a work environment, therefore we also should remove all of the work they are associated with, including legendary old games? No, I don't think so. And I don't even see what's the reason behind it. But here's the article which argues for that. So we can just read the article and see what is the reasoning to remove all this, right?
It's been at least 15 years since I last touched Oblivion, but a few seconds of the triumphant theme Reign of the Septums brings me right back to the menu screen I saw so many times on my Xbox 360. Those are good memories, but today I have a different association with Oblivion's music. The 2019 allegations of sexual misconduct against composer Jeremy Soule, who wrote the music for Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim, among many other games. Before Bethesda announced Oblivion Remastered, there was speculation over whether the developer would remake or even fully replace Soule's music as a result of the allegations against him, but we now know neither happened. The soundtrack isn't changed, just as we remember it.
Stop right here. Did you ever hear about any form of rumor or speculation that they would replace the soundtrack of Oblivion? I am pretty sure that that would have been a quite big outrage if that would even implied anywhere. I mean, are you serious? And keep in mind, this should be true for Skyrim as well, because when Skyrim was released every single year in the past 10 years, they supposed to replace all the songs of Skyrim because the composer, this is the same thing. So right now, if you are playing with Mist of Pandaria or Guild Wars 2, they should replace all the music because of this misconduct, because that is what is implied here. That there was rumors and speculation that because of this misconduct, they are going to replace the songs. Who speculated it? Because I'm not aware of anyone. This is the first time I even see an article about this topic. This is blatantly obvious that the article writer himself, who's writing this hit piece, is the one who made this speculation, and now, pretending that this is a valid point of view, that a lot of people share this sentiment. No, they're not. It was never a case. Right now, that means that Knights of the Old Republic should replace all of their soundtrack because this guy was involved. You see how insane this is? Okay, let's move forward.
Soule denied the allegations in 2019. In the years since, he's almost completely vanished from the internet, scrubbing official sites and social media profiles, and he seemingly hasn't composed a new soundtrack since 2019.
I mean, just reading through this article, that's quite sad. I mean, he denied the allegations, and he still was cancelled and disappeared from the internet. A common trope with #MeToo. Just looking at the things and looking at the descriptions, what is this misconduct was and what happened, what I could collect is that there was an accusation that this person actually used his power as, the lead in the music composer team, and he was the boss of many artists under him, and he used this position to sexually approach women. And that's the allegation. One woman came forward that this sexual misconduct happened, and this person used his power over her to get to her. And so Soule denied the allegations. This girl came forward that she was approached, and he used his power as her boss to get things done. And basically that's the allegation. He was not charged with anything. He was not prosecuted with anything. It was just, this he said, she said situation. Actually, Kotaku was the one who came forward with this story publicly and, basically demanded the cancellation of this person. And also, Kotaku did search for other women as well from all of these projects to find other similar victims. And they managed to find another woman who said that Soule sent her a sexual video. And then she told him that she is not interested, and basically that's the end of that story. So, but still, these articles are written in a way that he indeed did those things. Again, without prosecution, without, due process. I'm not willing to accept these things as facts. These are right now accusations. And I completely understand if based on these accusations, you don't want to hire him. Because you don't feel your female workers safe around him because of these accusations, and therefore you don't want to hire him. That's a completely legitimate position. However, going back in time and delete all of his work because of this accusation, well, I do believe that's way too far. But, what the article writers think about it.
Oblivion wouldn't be the game we remember without Soule's music. It can be two things at once: beautiful and tainted by association with its creator. For me, at least, Oblivion Remastered is yet another entry on the list of problematic art I once loved. Ammo for the eternal separate the art from the artist debate alongside the likes of Neil Gaiman. Is debate even the right word? I think cop-out might be more appropriate. As I get older and experience disappointment after disappointment with the actors and writers and filmmakers and musicians I once admired continuing to engage with their creations feels more transparently a question of, do I enjoy this thing enough to ignore my moral view of the world for
Again,
it?
I'm sorry, this is complete insanity right here. Do I enjoy this thing enough to ignore my moral view of the world? Love, you will never find any art ever where the artist has the exact same moral alignment as you. People are flawed. People make mistakes. People do bad things. Everyone in their entire life, everyone, without exceptions. Of course, some people do really, really bad things, and some people do just small things. But you are not going to find morally perfect person anywhere. So if you want to, decide whether or not you want to watch an art piece, whether you want to allow yourself to enjoy art only if the artist himself is morally aligned with you, I'm sorry, you cannot watch art at all. And, the weird thing in this entire thing is that, many artists may be drug addicts, maybe, awful people, generally just assholes. But we don't like them because of who they are. We don't like their art. Separate the art from the artist means that many times the deepest things, what makes you think, what makes you a better person, comes from the deepest darkness. You have a glimpse into the abyss through his eyes. So if this person wouldn't be a bad person, you might not even have this kind of artistic experience to see the world from a different world. Okay, so it's really hard to see and hard to just say that if somebody is a bad person, therefore their art is also bad, or their art should also be banned. That's just simply not true. The artist's life experience, the artist's previous behavior, and even big faults are most of the times the reason why their art is so unique and special. Many musicians are drug addicts, and they are, sharing a point of worldview and a point of pain and suffering what you did not experience. Yet they're communicating that through a song to you, and that's causing you to have this artistic experience. So if you don't, you say that doing drugs is immoral, and for doing drugs they might even steal things, they might even did things which is completely immoral and don't want to associate with them, you are robbing yourself from an experience which might even better you in the long term. So, we are learning from other people's mistakes in many occasions. So just because somebody is a great artist, that doesn't mean that we want to follow through their life, that we want to repeat the same mistakes they do. For the matter of fact, in many cases, those people are the exact ones which we don't want to copy, because they're literally of themselves, So, this kind of notion that this is a cop-out to separate the art from the artist, no. If you don't do that, you literally cannot experience art, period. You're not going to find any form of art where the artist is completely flawless. The most you can do is that you are unaware of the flaws of the artist. So what you are proposing right now here is that we should just try to enjoy the art of artists we are unaware of the misconduct of. For example, just a quick example, J.K. Rowling. Now, you would say that J.K. Rowling is transphobe, therefore you shouldn't enjoy Harry Potter as a whole. You shouldn't play with Hogwarts Legacy, you shouldn't watch the movies, you shouldn't read the books because J.K. Rowling is a transphobe. Now, what if I tell you that there are lots of people in the world who doesn't even know who J.K. Rowling is? They're just not on the internet. They just don't care whether or not a writer said something on Twitter. And now this person reads Harry Potter. And this person enjoys Harry Potter. Does this make this person a bad person? Does this make this person's enjoyment of Harry Potter somehow bad or tainted? No, but now you realize that this person is unaware that J.K. Rowling is transphobe. Therefore, you are telling this person that, hey, wait a minute, you shouldn't read that book because the writer is transphobe. Now, what this person is supposed to say? Oh, damn, my bad, I didn't know. Then I'm not reading the books anymore because, yeah, I was interested how this story is going to end, but now I realize that I shouldn't because it's bad. No person in their right mind would ever say that. They would say, oh, that's quite sad. Very well, I'm reading forward because I'm interested how the story is going to end. This is what they are going to say 10 out of 10 times, including yourself. You yourself watched all the movies. You yourself read all the books. But now, later on, you do this virtue signaling nothing burger just to show off that how progressive and inclusive you are. And try to cancel person you are disagreeing with online. That is what's happening. And when people say that, okay, you can hate J.K. Rowling, you can disagree with her, you can even hate her, fair enough. But that doesn't change the fact that those are pretty damn good books, and those are pretty damn good movies. Oh no, that's just a cop-out. All right, yeah, and I am the problem here, right, yeah. This is the very next passage.
Judging by the enduring popularity of Harry Potter, the answer for many, many people is yes, depressingly often.
I just touched on the nerve, right? Isn't it? The question was that shouldn't we just separate the art from the artist? And the answer is yes, depressingly often. Depressingly often? Yes, it's always should be the answer. Always.
But of course, the question is rarely about just one person when it comes to games or movies. Hundreds of people put their love and sweat into them.
Again, a very good point, which shows how stupid you are. This person is a composer, and he was an incredibly important person of creating these songs. But there are many other writers, singers, artists, musicians who actually played these songs, and they also contributed their own share of this entire thing. So should we cancel and replace all of these people's work just because one misconduct? Which again, there was no prosecution. There was no charges filed. So just because of this misconduct, should we cancel the work of hundreds of people and just delete it from the existence?
Do their contributions make it okay to enjoy them? Or do they just make it easier to convince ourselves we're making a smaller moral compromise?
We're not making moral compromise. It's not a moral question whether or not you like a song or not. It's not a moral question whether or not you like a game and you play with it. It's not a moral question. If you try to make it moral, like right now you try to do that, you try to make it moral, you are wrong. And you are just an asshole. You are a bully who tried to cancel not just a person but damage a company, hundreds of people's of work because of one accusation. Yeah, so this means that I shouldn't watch Harry Potter because of J.K. Rowling. Or I shouldn't enjoy the Pirates of the Caribbean movies because Johnny Depp is a wife beater. Oh, yeah, that one didn't age well, is it? But back in the day when it was an established thing that Johnny Depp is a wife beater, back then I wasn't allowed to watch the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. But now that we know that it's all was a lie, now we can again. Now we can enjoy it. You allow us. You see, this is the problem when there is no due process, That there are just simple accusations. Because anybody can come forward and say whatever for their own benefit. And then, we just accept it and just cancel people without any evidence or so, just for the mere accusation. And in many cases, this can be wrong. And, it's astonishing for me that the very same people who right now scream for due process for illegal migrants, they ignore and don't want any form of due process for the accused of #MeToo. They didn't care, and they don't care right now. Because right now, this person is just that, an accused of #MeToo. There was no charges filed against him. There was no due process. There was no conviction. Nothing. There was just a simple accusation. Where is his due process? He didn't get one because that's #MeToo. There, it's not required. But when it comes to illegal migrants, they're supposed to have one. You know what? What I think? I think that everybody should have due process. The illegal migrants and this person as well. They are the same. They both should get due process. And when the due process is done, then we decide whether or not we cancel them or whatever. But no, right now it's the other way around.
Does Soule get royalties from his work on Oblivion or from sales of Oblivion Remastered? What about from sales of the soundtrack itself? I wish I knew the answer to those questions, but Bethesda did not respond to a request for comment.
That's a based move from Bethesda. Don't answer for these bullies. It's clearly obvious that this article was just created to stir up shit. And this question that whether or not Soule gets royalties or not, why does it matter? Why does it matter? Really? Does it change anything? And keep in mind, this person is accused of a really bad thing, and therefore he was fired from his job. Isn't that enough for you? No, he should be deleted from existence in the entire internet. He should be deleted. All of his work should disappear and recreated by other artists, right? That's the right punishment? Don't you see how insane it is? So right now, you're trying to bully the company Bethesda that whether or not this person gets money from using his songs, which we all love, which we all know, which is part of our childhood, which is part of the nostalgia. But no, we should throw all of that out because of these allegations. And again, I'm not denying that these allegations are true. They very, very well might be. That is why I'm completely okay with the notion that that Bethesda fired this person, and many other projects did not hire him anymore. So far we know this person was not hired to compose any songs since these allegations. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I don't know whether or not the allegations are true, but these are serious accusations, and I understand why an employer wouldn't employ this person. And to be fair, I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is delete every single reference to him in all of existence without any due process or without anything. You just decided that he is the worst possible human being ever existed based on these allegations without checking whether or not they are true. And yes, that's bad. You shouldn't do that. Another interesting part of this, that what is the problem if the artist is racist, sexist, transphobe, whatever? What is the problem with that? So you would say that a sexist artist would cause his fans to become sexist as well. But how do I know that this artist is sexist? I mean, this is a soundtrack of a video game. I don't know anything about this person. If you don't write this article, I would never ever find out these sexual misconducts. So I am only aware of this person's existence because you are trying to cancel him. And because you are trying to cancel him, I might be sympathetic to this person. So yeah, again, this article is literally doing the exact opposite. You are afraid that his art is going to cause people to become sexists. No, that's not going to happen. But your article might create people, radicalize people to, go against the cancel crowd, go against cancellation. Because yeah, we all do believe that it's a complete bullshit. And your article convinces a lot of people to join this anti-cancellation movement. So no, I was unaware of this person's existence before your article. But your work to try to cancel his entire life of work, this article made me care for this person. Do you see the problem? You are the problem. All right. Let's go home. There is nobody in chat, which is sadness, but it is how it is.